Yes, I'm going to go ahead and record this. And so welcome to Facilitating Effective Virtual Meetings. This is a mini webinar, and I just wanted to bring to your attention a number of things that you can apply, whether you're using Microsoft Team or WebEx or freeconferencecall.com or some of the other different platforms that we're using all of a sudden every day, many times a day. And as I advance the slides, just want to share, it's about a 30-minute call. I'll certainly stay on longer if that helps you. But this is the welcome, and the way we've broken it down is the first section, we're just going to look a little bit at facilitating virtual meetings versus live meetings, the differences, the advantages and disadvantages as we transition quickly into this whole new world that we're immersed in now. I may give short shrift to the importance of the agenda because this is something you should know already from regular meetings, but it has added value in an online environment. So I will talk about why it's important to have an agenda and develop it beforehand with people. Refer to it during the meeting, and you can even use it to springboard to your next meeting and to generate minutes. Definitely talk about tips to engage, which a number of you, and thank you for responding to the little survey that we optionally offered you. Want to share with you a variety of things you can do to engage, and then remind you of some facilitation skills and tools that you have that are especially important in this online environment. And then just going forward, I'll reference a couple of things we have coming up that you can partake of, and also what I'll be sending you. And by the end of this call, there may be other things I'll be sending you. But let's do this. Before we jump into that, I'd like to lead us in a 30-second icebreaker. All right, so what I'd like to ask you to do is to follow my instructions, and what I'll be asking you to do will not involve touching your face. So know that that's not something that I'm going to ask you to do, and we should all be weaning ourselves from our habit of touching our faces during this serious time. So with that, what I'd like to invite you to do, first of all, is if everyone would like to raise their right hand and wave to everyone. All right, very good, very good. Put it down. Now, if you'd like to raise your left hand and give us the beauty queen wave to each other. All right, very good, very good. You can put the hands down. Now, everybody raise both hands and wave to each other, each hand to each other. All right, very good. Hands down. Very good. And next, if I can have all hands on deck to give gratitude for the things that are still working and the hidden benefits of this stressful time that we all suddenly find ourselves in. Very good, very good. And lastly, I'd like you to give each other a hand and yourselves for going with the flow and adapting to this new reality for now and being on the call in the midst of a crazy day. All right. Nicely done, folks. Later, I'll touch on the importance of icebreakers, but I wanted to get us all on the same page. Very good, very good. So nicely done. I just want to talk a little bit about live meetings, which we've been doing naturally forever, and now facilitated meetings. You know what live meetings are like, right? And absolutely, we see each other face to face, and we have rapport, and there's energy in the room that's palpable. And pre-pandemic, you know, we took for granted that we could connect with each other, right? It was sort of a natural thing. But in these stressful times, all of a sudden now, everything has changed. And things that we took for granted can suddenly become problematic. So naturally, there are consequences to closeness until we get this virus under control, and it's led to social distancing. So as you can see, if we're face-to-face, we need to be 6 feet apart. We need Purell. But the good news is that we can still accomplish a lot and maintain community and cohesion of our teams that we're leading through virtual meetings. And this is the world that we find ourselves in now. So this is the rest of the consulting team, and we're all excited to share with you some things we've learned and to support you in the different things that you're all now seeking to do. So remember that in a live meeting, everyone's in the same room, and so it facilitates a flow of ideas. But in a virtual world, everyone is dispersed, and that comes with it some challenges. In a typical room, we can all see each other, where now we basically see head and shoulders or a static picture. There's definitely palpable group energy in a live meeting, but when you are facilitating a meeting, you may need to bring some of the energy and some of the positivity and provide some to jumpstart it because everyone is dispersed. Certainly there's a group accountability in meetings. We play nicely and we behave because we're in public. It's a little less peer pressure when you are doing a virtual meeting. Also, longer attention spans are certainly going to be found in the live meetings. Shorter attention spans you'll find are in these virtual meetings, and that's why, in fact, this one's a little shorter than others. So I did want to reference that as well. Anything else that comes to mind as I unmute you? What else comes to mind? Any big differences?
How about more distractions at home?
Absolutely, you are not alone, and I believe that's Kathy. I recognize that voice. I think, yeah, absolutely. I think we underestimated what it meant to be home, and they're just different distractions. But yeah, it's a distracting time. Anything else?
I'm gonna say my 4-year-old didn't usually attend meetings with me in the past, but he is on the carpet over there attending this meeting with me.
I love it. So we have a dog, we have a 4-year-old, and good. Yeah, it's a different environment. A wonderful colleague, Judy Carter, is a comedian, and she jokes about working from home, and she says, the commute this morning was murder. She tripped over her cat on the way from the living room to the dining room. I thought that was really funny. So we take our humor where we can get it. All right, well, very good. So moving on, there are certainly advantages to live, and we've already really talked about that. Interaction's more natural. We can read more cues from each other. We can leverage that energy. And it's easy for facilitators to take the pulse of the group in a live setting. One of your challenges is to get a sense of how the program is going from the little vignettes, the little thumbnail pictures of people, and from what you read into their voice and into the energy they provide. And that's one of the challenges. I'm going to mute you just for a sec here, all right? But one of the other challenges really is to provide some energy for the group. And oops, okay. Let's see, what have I done? I want to keep my slides moving. Okay, great. So there are certainly some advantages of virtual. It is safer in a time like this. It's potentially more comfortable. I think we finally solved that problem in meetings where some people find it's too hot and some people find it's too cold. We all now have the perfect temperature for the meeting. Give yourselves another hand for that. There are potentially fewer distractions, but honestly, there are new ones. And at least another one I've found, a silver lining, is no more leaf blowers disrupting us when we work from home. Have you noticed that? In my neighborhood, I have. Okay, avoids the commute. Looser dress code, of course. Our cologne or perfume isn't affecting anyone's allergies. But there are some other advantages too. So as I unmute you, anything else you'd like to identify as another advantage of virtual?
No commute time.
Yeah, absolutely. The air is cleaner outside because there's fewer cars as well. No commute time. Anything else you'd like to add to our list?
I think that usually people rely, we still would bring a printed version of an agenda, things like that. And this way it's all digital, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, there's been this move from bigger screens like desktops to laptops to tablets to smartphones. And this month I lament that I don't still have my big screen. And there's definitely advantages to those old displays. So break them back out so you can have multiple screens. Everyone is working from home now. Luckily, we're in an environment where we can do that. We can still lead our teams and stay abreast of them and keep the energy going. If your pilot doesn't do that, you're going to have trouble taking flight. So nobody's flying today anyway. So anyway, and I just want to point out, I've tried to use a little bit of humor, some graphics, an icebreaker, because these are some of the engaging techniques that I'd like you to be aware that you have at your command. So there are certainly challenges of virtual. One of them is maintaining. Anyone want to hazard a guess as to what it is that we're have a challenge maintaining in a virtual environment?
People's attention.
Yes, attention is the correct answer, as is unity, as there are many more. What's another possible thing that you as a facilitator want to ensure in a virtual environment? Whether you're a trainer or a leader of a department with direct reports. And these are hard actually, but I'll take multiple answers as correct.
Engagement?
I'd want to ensure participation from everybody.
Yeah, engagement is a great answer. I think I probably used it for a subsequent question, but yeah, participation's another one. Yeah, this is part of our responsibility, is maintaining cohesion and participation, and also confirming understanding of what we're teaching. You know, we sometimes take silence or a nod or a mm-hmm as a presumption that they understand, but not always. Keeping attendees, what do you think? Engaged or focused would be a correct answer. And even reading blank blank.
Normally it would be body language.
Absolutely.
Reading the room.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, you guys have all done well on this. I just wanted to show you that sometimes a lot of us in training, even in live meetings, will have sentences with words missing, so that people who like to jump ahead or race through the materials and then engage need to listen to fill in the blanks. This is another technique you can use for engagement in your meetings. So, all right, very good. So, as we move forward, I just want to remind you of the importance of your agenda. One of the techniques that we find is that when you share a draft of the agenda in advance of the meeting, great things happen. Other people weigh in with things you may have forgotten, and they're able to make sure that their agenda items have a place and standing in the meeting. And so it strengthens your agenda. It already gets them thinking about what's to come, which is really important. Also, when you circulate it in advance, people start to buy in further because it's their agenda, not just yours you're imposing on them. And so we find that there's benefits to doing that in advance. Now, during the meeting, we find that at the top of the meeting, just to review the agenda is good. Maybe you make some tweaks based on who's there or any late breaking news, and that's good. And even during the meeting, you can hearken back to the agenda to remind people where we're at or where we're going or what we might be tabling. And then following the meeting, certainly you can use the agenda to develop the minutes for the meeting, which you circulate very shortly after the meeting and ask for feedback shortly thereafter. And then you can formulate the next agenda based on the last one. So the agenda is your friend. There's all sorts of looks for agendas. There's no one or right or wrong way. And you may probably have a template you're using week after week, which is great. But we find that agendas are also important if you include, number 2, posting the objective or goal at the top or near the top. That focuses everybody on what the purpose of that meeting is. Certainly timeframes and names assigned to different aspects of the agenda, very important. And again, we recommend getting people engaged and having them own pieces of the meeting so that they prepare, they don't, they want to contribute, they don't want to embarrass themselves, and then it's great. It's good variety for us to stay engaged, to hear from different people from time to time. Also, it does build in accountability. And we like toward the end of every meeting, online or live, to review who's doing what and by when, and hear people go public and address what it is that they're going to do. At the beginning of the next meeting, you often revisit step number 5, who agreed to do what by when. So the agenda is great. I'm going to skip this agenda here, and I just want to also mention that at the beginning of your meetings, it's a great time to take a moment, not only to have an icebreaker or a check-in, but to co-create some ground rules. Now, to the extent that you have meetings that are routinized already, you have ground rules in place. But in this new environment, it's important to have a reality check in terms of what are our ground rules for meeting online. But rather than impose them, again, we ask people to contribute theirs. And then we establish and agree to them as a group, and then we can hold each other and ourselves accountable. Ground rules could be something to the effect of, everybody, nobody speaks over anybody else. One person speaks at a time. Sometimes the software facilitates that online. That we return from breaks on time. And if your meetings are long online, you should give breaks. People need those breaks. Being supportive of others or being positive, things of that sort. And being open to new ideas, things of that sort. Ground rules are great. And again, it makes it everybody's meeting. And they're much more likely to adhere to ground rules that they helped co-create. So another tip about sharing the leadership, and you expect more from people when they have a hand in designing the meeting. And that's a good thing. All right, well, moving on. Whoops. I want to share some tips to engage, and we've already modeled a few of them. Questions are your friend. And so I like to ask rhetorical questions along the way and some closed-ended questions that can be answered yes or no. If you have polling features in your meeting software, you can create a question in advance. I did not model it this time, and every system is different, but you can preload a question to take a poll of the 5 most, hardest or biggest distractions, for instance, of online meetings. And you can list the 5 you think are the biggest and have a slot for other. You can have people vote in real time, and you can often see the answers in real time or share the results thereafter. I like to call on people by name to keep them awake and let them know I still see them. And also, sometimes I'll alert them that those of you who haven't contributed yet, I'll be opening it up for questions in a moment, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. So I don't pressure them or embarrass them, but I put them on notice. I'm coming for you in a nice way, because everyone's input is important, and we really want to model what we want to get from our meetings. And we as the facilitator or the leader of the meeting want to set a good example. Often you need to do a reality check. I need to do a time check because I've talked far more on some of the early material, and it suggests I may not get everything done that I want to. But reality checks are important to get the pulse of the team. Let me unmute you now and just do a little reality check and ask you, is this helpful so far? Are you looking for material that you know is to come and would like me to move forward or move at a quicker pace? The floor is open. Let me just hear from a couple of people who'd like to weigh in. And I can't see everyone, so the pause means, yes, you may speak. Okay, I thought
I
I
about
think it's all good.
good so far. Okay.
Good pace, and we can keep moving forward.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
I think something I would like to hear about, if you have it incorporated already, is just some guidelines on when to use the chat box, when to use the polling, those sorts of features when they're appropriate, so we don't get kind of over-teched in our meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's very hard for me to do everything as the facilitator, to check the chat window and to check my material that I'm not leaving things out or I'm skipping something, and then also to deal with the technical issues. So depending on how many people are helping you, is somebody designated to take minutes in your meeting? Maybe you limit the chat to keep have an administrator monitor the chat and bring to your attention anything that's a burning question or something of relevance to the group. Now, the chat will be saved, and I'll be reviewing it afterwards. So by all means, if you have questions for me privately that I can't answer right now, I will respond to them offline. But it is a balancing act. But I think one of the biggest keys is variety. Your audiences want variety, but too many choices is overwhelming to them. So you can direct them to the screen. You can direct them to the poll, or you can ask them you can shut down the chat and ask them to focus just on being present. If I were leading a visualization, I might actually turn off the video and ask you to just close your eyes, and my voice would change, my cadence, and I would lead you into a visualization to purge your mind of all the distractions and to just be present. So there's no right or wrong or one right answer. But again, you could also get feedback in your evaluation, your post-event evaluation about what would you have liked more of, or what was distracting, or what suggestions do you have for a more effective meeting each time. So great questions. Certainly humor does help as well. And let me move forward. And I'm going to mute you for the moment. Okay, very good. Among the things that you're going to want to do to keep attention is to not just overwhelm people with facts and figures, but try to have some visuals. Sometimes a short movie or video can be a great change of pace for everybody. Some charts and graphs are good. I like to avoid just facts and figures and try to intersperse little anecdotes or stories, or have other people share a little short story or an experience that they had that's relevant. Videos are good. I'm not demoing videos here, though I'll probably send you a link to something funny called Life After Death by PowerPoint by a comedian who's also a thought leader on the technical presentation side, Don McMillan, who I'm a big fan of. I do think more voices leads to more engagement, things of that sort. And I've already demonstrated some icebreakers. I'll briefly touch on a couple of slides in a moment about the importance of icebreakers, even if it's not at the beginning of the meeting, but as a change of pace or something to energize people. This is something never to do. This is death by PowerPoint. It's just a text with so much, or a slide with so much text. However, watch how this slide has been remade into a slide with a graphic and just some key summary bullets. Okay, that's bad. This is much better. Same content, 12 months, boom, 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 and boom. Much cleaner slide, less clutter. We can focus on just the key things. Half of your battle as a facilitator is what to have people focusing on and when to focus on it. And now, taking it a step further, and I want to credit Jim Prost, a colleague of ours, who created these slides and gave us permission to use them. Professor Prost also took this a step further, and watch this next slide and watch the animation. In sales, sales are up, profits are up, and you guessed it, expenses are down. So again, sometimes less is more online and certainly in PowerPoint. Okay, so whoops, let me just go back here. Icebreakers like the one that I did that was 30 seconds and visual can be very helpful. They set a tone for the meeting. They can warm people up or help you transition from one place to another. You have to find things that will work online, but they definitely get people engaged also, and they help the group to coalesce, which is really important. Oftentimes they do reinforce the purpose of your meeting, and they are collaborative. They help people to listen and to partner and be creative and celebrate success together. I will send you from the consulting team a report on 10 icebreakers that you can modify for your own use. So continuing on, I just want to touch on the importance of your use of certain facilitation skills. As a facilitator online, just like in real life, sometimes you are the question master, using questions to guide the action, to draw people out, to change, get them to think, so many other things. Sometimes you're the traffic cop, making sure that nobody monopolizes or that we hear from all precincts. Sometimes you're the referee when things get heated and you're reminding people to be positive or to be team-oriented and to disagree with the idea, but without being disagreeable. Other times you may have to weigh in with a judgment on what's happening. And ideally, someone else can be the techie when you're leading meetings online. But just know that your use of questions can cover so many different topics. You can use questions to break the ice or to clarify issues. We use them a lot to debrief something that we've done, to deflect hostility or to draw out key information, to engage participants, to expose attitudes, to sometimes help the group move from discussion to decision, which is a big part of many online and regular meetings. We discuss, we discuss, we discuss. Now it's time for the vote, but to gain consensus or maybe narrow down our choices or to promote or facilitate discussion. Questions are great. So I just want to remind you, another role that you have as facilitator or leader of your meeting is to encourage your participants to prepare. We talked about the agenda as a way to do that. We want to invite them to arrive early and solve any technical problems and get situated so that when the meeting strikes the hour, at whatever time you're convening, that everyone's ready to go. You do need to help them pay attention. And you do that through variety, through asking questions, through some images, and sometimes a brain teaser or something like that. And anything that you model, you have a chance of other people basically emulating. So that's really important. And certainly by the end of the meeting, you want to revisit who's going to do what by when, and what we're going to do and when we're going to meet next. That's very important. And then when you do this, it helps your attendees to prepare, to arrive on time, to pay attention, to play nice, to participate, to follow up. So the design of your meeting and how you lead it will have a lot to do with how you achieve that. Okay, well, so we've covered a lot already. I wanted to unmute you and ask for any questions that you have as the time is winding down. I, of course, will stay as long as you'd like. And I'll follow up with you on questions not answered. But the floor is now open for your questions, and I have a few closing slides after the Q&A. I believe I've unmuted everybody. Okay. What questions do you have, folks? Oh, Kathy, your hand is up. I'm sorry. I can now see.
Are we supposed to raise our hands or just speak out? Anyway.
Gosh, trainers are just the best. Yeah, I'd absolutely like to give priority to our guest today, but absolutely, Kathy, why don't you warm us up?
Get it going. Are there any good tutorials out there on polling, doing the polling?
Great question. Each of the services, whether it's GoToMeeting or WebEx or Microsoft Team or Zoom, they have their own materials that address this. So I would encourage you to take advantage of what's free and online. There are certainly some other websites as well that are wonderful, lynda.com and whatnot. And there's a lot of material out there for polling. Yes, and by the way, we will be sending a follow-up poll to you for your input as well. Let's see, I have to go to second screen because we have so many people. I don't see any hands up here. Okay, let me flash back to the first screen. Anybody raising their hand, or any other questions at this time? And again, you're welcome to email them to me if they come up afterwards.
I have a question actually about
Yes.
I'm struggling to figure out how to do in my internal meetings how to do the roundtable share because I realize people start to talk and then they'll maybe not see everybody's screen and not be able to see that someone else is trying to talk, whereas in a room you have that kind of natural, you're seeing someone is going to start talking. So I did this experiment one time going alphabetically, but I'd like maybe a more natural or better way of getting each person to be able to share in a logical way. Thank you.
Right, great question. Sometimes you will invite people to put their questions in the chat and you can respond to them in the order in which they've arrived. Other times you can be looking for the hand that goes up, and some services actually have a place where you can raise your hand, and that indicates to the facilitator that there is a question and who it is. And so you can call on them that way. Let's see, what else? That's what comes to mind offhand. And I do want to say we haven't covered so many of the other features, the concept of breakout rooms, and there is a whiteboard that a lot of times we can use to demonstrate things. I've shared my PowerPoint slides, and a couple things actually didn't sequence in the way I had intended, but to no avail. Sometimes we just focus on what's working and whatnot. Let's see, are there some other people with the questions at this time? And let's see, okay, go here and go here. All right. Well, I'd like to just take a couple of minutes. By the way, my email is craig@theconsultingteam.com, and I've got a slide to that effect as well. So if you've got follow-up questions, by all means, I will answer them and compile and share with you the results of those. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Here's my email for that, for any questions that arise from today. That as well, this comes from a much longer presentation that we do online and also live. We have several different versions of this. We have meetings made fun and easy. We have leading and facilitating effective meetings. We have an online version of this, and many articles that we can share with you about how to be more efficient on meetings, how to use consent calendars, and something like how to manage your meeting monsters, those crazy characters that lurk underneath with people who may be contentious or distracting or sarcastic or who knows what, and even the robots that disrupt our meetings. So wanted to let you know about that. And then in the continuation of this series of free short webinars online, coming up on April 13th, I think that's the correct time, 10:30 to 11. I believe my colleague Stuart Levine is on the call, so he'll let me know. But he will be leading the next in this series of 4 of these, Managing Crisis and Change, Surviving in a State of Flux. And I highly recommend this. Stuart is fantastic. You know, we are definitely needing to lead positive change right now. And actually, I believe, let's see, I'm going to tell you about the other 2 after Stuart's, and then I'm going to try to unmute Stuart to answer any questions you may have about that. But here's a slide with some details of the very next one. And you'll see that he'll be teaching you about the change curve and overcoming denial and resistance and how to engage with others and to reward commitment and acceptance. After that, we have Kathy Citron, another of our senior associates who you've met initially through a question or 2 that she asked. And she'll be helping us manage people during uncertain times. That definitely includes conducting meetings online and whatnot. So we'll confirm that. These are all free, and you can register through admin@theconsultingteam.com. Just send an email. And then following up, we have Susan Schwartz, another of our senior associates. Will be talking to you about emotional intelligence and how it really is a great management tool for uncertain times.
Why don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to get you.
Okay, apparently, let me, hold on. It sounds like the replay of what's happening, but whoops. Let me see if I can open this window. Bear with me one moment, please. All right. So, all right. I'm going to mute you all and then invite Stuart. If I could, I'm going to try to unmute Stuart. Let's see if I can do that. And it's putting him on notice, hopefully, that I'm coming to him. Stuart.
Thank you, Craig. So, everyone, on April 13th, 2 weeks from today, I'll be talking about essentials of both managing yourself and managing others through times of change. Some of the key pieces about how to do that, some of the important ways about interacting with others, some of the things to watch out for, and that's what we will be providing. So please, I look forward to seeing you on the 13th. If you've got friends or colleagues that you think would benefit, please be in touch. You know, right now, the key piece is just to strap on your roller skates, because every day things are a little bit different. So we'll have some fun. We'll try to provide a little bit of levity in the trying times we're in. Thank you, Craig. Great presentation today.
Hey, thanks, Stuart, and thanks for all the support. Kathy, if you'd like, I would love to unmute you and have you say a few words about your upcoming webinar. Hearing no objection. as we say in meeting parlance.
I'm going to concentrate on supervisors and managers because this is such, for many, many people, it is a very different time. Many of our clients don't have people working at home, so this is very new to managers and supervisors. And it's a different way of doing things, and we run into all kinds of roadblocks and differences. Some people, what I'm hearing is many people don't get any work done. Some people work too hard and never know how to quit. And so there's a whole range of pitfalls and challenges surrounding this. And we want to deal with people's personal issues and how to solve the problems, how to keep the team together during this time. It's hard to keep the team together sometimes when you're in an office, much less when people are working at home. So I look forward to you all joining it.
Well put. All right, I'm coming to you next, Susan, and then we'll wrap it up with Marilyn. I believe she's still on. So Susan, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I'm going to tag on to Kathy's comment, is that many of us aren't used to working from home, and we're used to being, or remotely, and we are used to being able to react to people because of their body language, or you can see them whispering to somebody else. And so between the private chat and time differences and spatial differences, emotional intelligence has some tools and techniques that you can use to recognize people's behaviors and help them balance out, because everybody on the team has different personalities, and how you balance those personalities can be a little more different in the distance. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, we're going to be looking at behaviors and decisions so that you can react appropriately to the situation. You can determine your hot buttons and how you're going to react to them. So it's a powerful tool, and I hope you can join us.
Great, and I think I was remiss in not showing the slides that go with each of these, but you should have them in your handout. Okay, let me just see if I can do that for everybody. All right, can you see these slides?
Yes.
Can you nod if you can see them? Yes, you can. Okay, so here's Kathy's that was discussed, and again, here is Susan's. And with that, I believe I can now call on Marilyn to tie it all together and wrap it up. Dr. Manning, the floor is yours.
Okay, am I off mute?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Well, I really appreciate, Craig, what you did today. That was terrific, and lots of good techniques, tips for all of us. And we are just we feel like we want to, anything we can do to serve the community and serve all of you as we're going through these, really, really tough times. And so our team has been meeting every week, talking about what we can offer to you, and so that we came up with this series of 4. And we may even add a couple more to it. And we've been spending the last few weeks converting all of our trainings into virtual trainings or Zoom trainings. So that's been very challenging, and you can see there's a lot to. It's very, very different to be able to engage people and get them really motivated and paying attention, especially when we're at home and we've got children, pets, limited space, all those things that are going on. But we're really here to do what we can for you, and we appreciate your participating. And please, spread the word for our upcoming ones. As you get a link, let us know other people that would like to join in, and because I think we can go beyond 20. We're trying the first couple times just as we're learning these techniques too. But our hearts are with you, and we appreciate your feedback and letting us know how we can help. So thank you very much.
And with that, I'll look for your emails, and just know that we've got a lot of tools available to you through our website, Leadership Tips, our e-zine that many of you found out about today from, and that we look forward to helping you through this very difficult time. With that, good luck facilitating your meetings. And if things come up in the coming weeks based on today, I'd love your feedback, good, bad, or otherwise, about what happened, what worked, what didn't. It's a series of trial and error for all of us. But the more you do, the more confident you'll come and become, and it'll help others as well. So with that, we're going to adjourn this meeting and hope to see you online in this place a couple weeks from now, if not sooner. All right, folks, give yourselves another hand. And let me unmute for any last comments. And then as you need to, go ahead and sign off.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
Most welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you. It was good. Helpful information.
Great. And good. Well, best of luck to everybody.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to stop the share and close the meeting, and greatly appreciate your participation. Bye, folks.
Yeah.